The Close Weekly podcast gives you the most actionable real estate advice you can use today. And in season 2, we're focusing on how you can succeed in 2022's low inventory market. Now, here's your host, the man who has been a top producing agent for over 25 years, Sean Modry.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest is Wendy Waselle, and she's going to share with us how we as real estate agents can start generating listings by working with divorce attorneys. But before we get started with her, I want to share with you a little about this season's sponsor, Elevate by Elm Street Technology. Elevate is more than a CRM. With social media posts, IDX website, and easy-to-use lead generation, Elevate provides everything you're going to need to capture and convert more leads. Elevate even has a time-saving CMA wizard, which lets you create and even share CMAs in just minutes. Are you interested in checking out Elevate yourself? Then go to tryelevate.com. That's TRYELEVATE.com and schedule your free demo today. Now, let's learn a little bit from Wendy Waselle. Good morning, Close Weekly. It's Sean Modry, and we're back again. I hope you had a great week. And today, you are going to learn a lot. We have a wonderful guest today. She is a true professional in her industry, and be prepared. I want you right now to get out a pen and paper because you're going to take some notes today, and we're going to leave you with some actionable tips for you to help your real estate business today. So I want to welcome our guest today, and this is Wendy Waselle, and she is with a company called Divorce This House, which is an educational provider that helps businesses, mostly real estate agents, right, Wendy? Is that correct?
Yes, real estate agents and mortgage lenders.
Real estate agents and mortgage lenders build their business through working with people who are in a kind of a distressed situation, right?
Yes, divorce is it can be a distressed situation, but it depends on when you are involved in the divorce process.
Well, I mean, their situation's stressed.
Oh, yes, their situation.
Mine was. So welcome, Wendy. So first off, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, I love, that's one of my favorite places. Oh, I wanted to move there, and I could not convince my wife to move away from our children.
Well, I don't blame her. That's a good reason.
Yeah, but I do love Nashville. What a beautiful place. And so before we get kind of into, kind of the educational piece, share with us a little bit about your background.
Well, actually, I started out as a kindergarten teacher. So I'm this unique combination of a former favorite kindergarten teacher, started teaching in the early 70s. So I've had a lot of experience on this earth. And so from teaching, I was lucky that I met my darling husband of 50 years in college, and we moved to Chicago so that I could teach school there. And my husband started in advertising. And then I invested in him. He wanted to start his own business, and we grew his business to be the largest in the city of Chicago. Wow. So on any given day, we would be working on United Airlines, McDonald's, Hallmark, major national brands. And I learned a lot about marketing.
Wow.
And then in my retirement, in my 60s, I started staging houses. And knowing advertising and marketing, it took me no time to build my business to 150 or more staging houses per year. And
wow.
It was
so on in your retirement, you decided, I'm going to go back to work. You're just bored?
I was bored. Yeah. And I really loved real estate. And I thought, you know what? I think I can make a contribution. Real estate, being an outsider, sometimes brings a lot of fresh ideas. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to meet my realtors. And you know how I met my best realtors and mortgage lenders? I asked the home inspectors who their favorite realtors were, because I figured those are the realtors that could put the client first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we started staging, and I was teaching in libraries how to stage your house yourself. And we would have 50, 60, 70 people show up on a Saturday morning. What? And then, by being a go-giver, I ended up with so much business, I couldn't even handle it all. I was staging my 300th home. That's a milestone. And it was due to divorce. Divorce is a major life change, and it involves two adults. So she was not the one in favor of the divorce. She did not want it. He was divorcing her. And so she asked me a brilliant question. And the question was, Wendy, you've done a beautiful job staging my house. I now need a realtor. And I was all set to recommend several. And she then said, but it has to be a realtor who specializes in divorce. And it stopped me cold. Now, this is in 2008. And I thought to myself, my gosh, I've staged 300 homes. I know a ton of realtors. I've never heard of this designation. Yeah. And so I pressed her. I said, why would you feel that you need a realtor who specializes in divorce? You're selling your house. And she said, Wendy, I'm selling my house because it's the one way my husband cannot hide an asset from me. They were business owners, and he was already changing the businesses to show a loss instead of a profit. And so, I understood that, having been a businesswoman. And she said, I need a realtor who can help me work with my lawyer, because my lawyer doesn't seem to be terribly interested in my house and what I'm doing with it. And here we are in Nashville. And so I could not wait, Sean, I could not wait to get out of the driveway to call my niece, who teaches law at Vanderbilt Law School, because obviously divorce, lawyer, not understanding, her situation. Yeah. And she said, I would actually fire this person, this lawyer, but I have too much money invested with my retainer. So she said, I have to get him to take this more seriously. So I thought, oh my goodness, I've never heard of this. So I quickly got after we finished, I got in my car, I called her on my cell phone, and I said, hey, Kelly. And our co-founder is my niece, Professor Kelly Murray, who happens to have degrees from Stanford University, Phi Beta Kappa. I know because I was at her graduation, and Harvard Law School, cum laude, in the same class as Barack Obama and Neil Gorsuch, two history makers. Wow. So she, now 14 years later, because she could not answer that question either, and started researching it. And we decided that the industry, the real estate industry, really needed outsiders to come in and help train the realtors and mortgage lenders on the right way to work with divorce lawyers. There is a major disconnect that can easily be rectified if you understand more about what lawyers need. And Sean, this is the big word, need. What does a lawyer need from a real estate agent? What does a lawyer need from a mortgage lender? Not greed. If you market yourself, and so this is something that I want everyone listening to us to understand. If you market yourself from a position of greed, hey, I'm a great lender, I'm a great realtor, I sell 50 houses a year, 100 houses a year, I'm in the top 1%. That is absolutely the opposite thing you do with lawyers. And you don't see lawyers doing that. So you need to understand the lawyer's image and what the lawyer expects, and I'll be happy to share that today. But the first thing is you figure out how you can fill a need in the divorce process, and then you will be a very busy agent or a mortgage lender.
So let me pause you right there, because I think you really just peppered in some really great points. And even if you're listening to this and you're not interested in getting a divorce, we can learn a lot from Wendy here, because what I heard Wendy say is, one, she retired and she had an interest in real estate. I know that there's some people listening right now that, you retired from a previous career and you had some interest in real estate, right? And so one is, hey, 60 is young today, and there's plenty of time to get into this industry and build a whole nother industry, which Wendy did. But what I really loved is how you heard your client had a need, right? And something that she needed, and you went and figured out a way. Well, one, you researched to see if there was a solution that already existed. And maybe there wasn't one, or there wasn't an acceptable one, right? Exactly. Because I've seen some of the other programs out there.
Yes.
And then you decided to create your own solution. Now, you're started to talk about some of the challenges that with working with divorce as far as a real estate agent and an attorney. And I think there's kind of three levels or layers there, right? So you have the challenges that a real estate agent has working with divorce. On top of mind for me would be agency, right? Because I think one of the mistakes agents could make easily would be aligning more with one party than the other, right?
Correct.
I remember one time I had a past client call me and they said, hey, we want to sell our house. And I show up and I just think this is a normal appointment. And, they didn't have the lights on real bright and it was kind of gloomy in there and it was real quiet. And I guided them over to the dining room table and I sat down and just getting ready to do my presentation. And the wife sat directly across from me and the husband sat right next to me. Like, this is a 6-person table and he is like on my shoulder. And I immediately thought, uh-oh. And believe it or not, I didn't get the listing. And I know why I didn't get the listing is she thought I was going to be buddies with him, right? He was looking for a friend.
Exactly.
So agency being one that agents have, we'll talk a little bit about, the challenges of getting in touch with an attorney and what they're looking for. And then you said something about the challenges attorneys have. Can you dig into that a little bit more? Like what are the needs? Because I think a perception of a real estate agent that's listening might be attorneys don't need my help.
Attorneys don't need your help in their clients selling the house. Mm-hmm. Most attorneys will say to me, unless they really like a particular realtor, it's a neighbor, it's a friend. They can't refer their relatives. That would be considered unethical. It's a conflict of interest, right? And so lawyers are very, very careful. They have to refer 3 in every category. And lawyers tell me, look, my client, I want to refer as few people as possible to avoid a client complaint. So when you approach a lawyer and you're asking the lawyer to refer you business, lawyers know what realtors do. Lawyers know what lenders want, right? And so you're leading with greed from their perspective. And the lawyer is trying to stay out of it and let their client choose as many of the providers that they want. Same thing goes with financial professionals. Lawyers don't want to get in the middle of you and your financial professional. If you have a CPA, a CFP, they're not going to refer you people to use. They don't want to show any preference, just like you were saying. The lawyer is representing the client. The lawyer is being paid a lot of money by most people's standards. I mean, I've had people tell me they've paid their divorce attorneys $900 an hour to advise them on what to do, and making an informed decision about the house. Yeah. So how can you position yourself so that you would be someone the lawyer would introduce to their client? Mm-hmm. And that will require some education. You can choose what kind of education you want to get. My company, obviously, we're not going to talk all about what I do, but my company definitely provides education to position you at the beginning of the divorce. So let's look at the divorce timeline, for example. What does a lawyer need at the beginning of the divorce that you could be involved in? And that's called the horizon market. Now, I've been in advertising for 30 years with my husband. My husband, quite frankly, had all the talent. I married very well.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
But honestly, I learned so much from the big leagues because the horizon market, and we never talk about that in advertising. Have you heard of it, Sean?
No, I've never heard of that term.
Oh my gosh, it drives me crazy. There's so much I'd like to give to the real estate industry. All right, so let's dissect.
Well, you're doing it right now, right?
Okay,
so you're doing
the
it right
horizon
now.
market is when it dawns on the client they need your services. Mm-hmm. So imagine a divorce lawyer introducing you, because of your training, to their client who owns real estate, to assist with information needed for discovery. So in order for you to help with discovery, you need to know what can go wrong in divorce real estate, mm-hmm. when you should be involved, how you help, what are the exact steps we have 4 key categories of enhanced house due diligence. And I'm going to give you number 1. It's by far the most important. Are you ready?
Well, hold on. You said advanced house due diligence.
Yes.
You talk really fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know I do. Advertising has done that to me. So, and lawyers. Lawyers are very concise in their speech and they're very quick listeners. So here's what I'll say it again because it's so important. There are 4 key categories of enhanced house due diligence. And the one we'll talk about today is mortgage. Now, Divorce This House teaches mortgage lenders, and every realtor should have 3 to 6 awesome mortgage lenders that probably they work with or at least know, and you work with, a couple, you should be working with 3. Lawyers like 3 because if they're going to introduce anyone to their client, they need 3 in that category. That's their LPL, their liability insurance.
Okay.
I believe in real estate, it's called E&O.
Yeah. Yep.
Lawyers have their version of E&O.
Well, they always recommend that we offer 3 inspectors. They always offer that we or recommend that, if we're going to have, roof repairs done, that we offer 3 for the same reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's 1, 2, 3. So who do you put first? Your favorite, your best. And most of the time,
circle it and highlight it and put little stars around it.
And so, but actually in divorce, the more mortgage lenders, who take this training, because they're involved at the beginning as the most important due diligence for the house, then what happens is that mortgage lender creates the listing when the house cannot be refinanced by the spouse who wants to keep the house.
Right, because somebody wants to keep the house. So,
especially now, yes, because there's so little inventory.
Yeah. So I was trying to make that connection why the mortgage would be the step 1. But so you're saying because one person's going to likely want to retain the house, but they have to refinance the other one off within, what is it, like 6 months to a year, depending on whatever the agreement is.
That is absolutely what we want to avoid. They need to make the decision at the beginning of the divorce. Just imagine the horizon market at the beginning of the divorce. And let me give you some information. Sean, I'm telling you, divorce is fascinating when you get into the the demographics and statistics. Statistics. I can't talk today. But anyway, in divorce, it's fascinating because divorce is 80% emotional and 20% rational. Now, if divorce has a beginning, a middle, and an end, let's just
for the record, mine was like 97 emotional, 3 rational.
But the rational,
I don't know where you got this 80-20 rule from.
Well, we're averaging it, right? So let's look at that. If you have 20% rational thinking and 80% emotional, the rational thinking takes place when, Sean? At the very beginning of the divorce. And so because when you first hire your lawyer, you put down your retainer, the lawyer then starts to ask you for things called discovery, right? You get a long list of things the lawyer needs to know. And that's before mediation. So all of your decision-making and all of your rational thinking should take place at the beginning of the divorce. And that's what we focus on. There are other avenues that realtors can take in the middle of the divorce, at the end of the divorce. Those are called court-appointed listings, where the judge forces the sale of the house. Well, one of the spouses is refusing to sell. I was involved in 2 of those. Both of them were horrible experiences, and I was just the stager. And both of them ended up where the realtor gave up. Because they're constantly bickering and not getting ready for showings. Open houses are a disaster. The one I was involved in, the mother had the dog living. It was a little teacup size puppy, and it was living on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
And the son was having a pajama party, and we were supposed to be showing the house in an hour or 2. It was a nightmare. you don't have to do that if that's your calling, because God bless you, that is something that is needed. But we're trying to avoid it because, in my opinion, and most lawyers agree with me, that a court-appointed listing is a failure of the system. We let it go too long. We let the house become a weapon. We don't need to do that if we get everybody trained and working together up front. And when the mortgage lender, who's so important, so in the best case scenario, here's what happens. Professor Murray, our co-founder, my niece, who is on faculty at Vanderbilt Law School, teaches mortgage lenders her divorce mortgage guidance. So imagine it's a system, right? It's a system that lawyers love. Lawyers will look at this system and say, can you do this for all my clients? Because it saves them time. It streamlines the process. Mortgage lenders get involved at the beginning using this system, and they will refinance. Let's say Wendy Waselle and Dave Waselle have plenty of money. Wendy Waselle wants to keep the marital home. We have millions in assets. Great. I can easily refinance the marital home, even though it has doubled since we purchased it 10 years ago. Here in, I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, very, very, desirable neighborhood.
Because it's not just refinancing, it's cashing out the other party.
Thank you. Right? So I have to I don't want to squeak by refi.
Yeah.
I drive a nice car. It might be a lease. I have to make sure that I can get my hair fixed. I have my priorities. And so, whatever my lifestyle is, I like my personal trainer. I like swimming in a pool. I don't want to become house poor. So the mortgage lenders help the Wendy Waselles, who are house spouses, keep the marital home if it makes financial sense. And, I probably have a financial advisor who's saying, wait a minute, Wendy, this is going to be a big bite for you. And maybe you would be better off with a lesser amount. And so this is what's usually going to happen. My mortgage lenders tell me that they trigger the listing because when the house spouse, and this is our term for the spouse who wants to keep the house, we have the out spouse who wants out and wants the cash out. That would be
got kicked out.
Got kicked out. And then there's the Wendy Waselles, or who are the house spouses who want to keep the marital home until we realize that we cannot easily refinance this house, or it's a complete no-go. Yeah. But here's what our mortgage lenders do. They immediately look at what I can afford, new loan origination. So here's the best case scenario. Wendy Waselle cannot refinance the marital home. Dave wants the cash out. Wendy Waselle is at the horizon market. I go from, I've got to keep the marital home. This is so important to me, until I see that it's going to make me house poor. And then I look at what I can afford. The $950 is too much, but I can easily afford $650. And now I'm letting go of the dream that would become a nightmare. And I'm looking at moving forward with more, because we're all about preserving homeownership eligibility. If you say to a lawyer, and then you've got to back it up, because the lawyer's going to say, how do you do this? But if you say to a divorce lawyer, I specialize in divorce real estate, and my goal for every client is to help them preserve homeownership eligibility. You're not saying my goal is to sell every one of your clients' houses. That is the worst thing you could say to a lawyer. Right. It's self-serving. That doesn't help the lawyer. The lawyer will say, well, why would I introduce you? Clients can find realtors. You're easy to find. You're very plentiful. Yeah. And so the lawyer doesn't want a client complaint. They don't intersect themselves or interject themselves into areas that are unnecessary in their mind and possibly the client's mind.
You know what it reminds me of is for years I taught how to work with people in pre-foreclosure, right? And it's the same thing. Is your intention when you meet them is to keep them in the home, because they don't want to move. So you do everything you can to help them retain the home. And we know that a high percentage just won't be able to, right? They're not going to be able to get the job, or get, borrow money to get caught up, or get a gift from a friend or family member to get caught up. They're just not going to be able to do that. And then because you've provided services above and beyond, and different than the person saying, I can sell your house. I love the way you say that. It's so direct and it's so true. Like, we do come around that way. Like, it's interesting hearing your outside perspective, because you say it and it kind of makes my hair stand up. And then I realize I've been that person.
Exactly. And may I add that when your client refinances her house, you celebrate with her, because the home ownership duration in divorce is 3 years or less. And the national average is up to 13 years. So non-divorcing families, I saw this on the NAR website because I wanted to check about home ownership duration for non-divorcing homeowners. The average used to be 7 years. Remember that, Sean? And then 2018, it went up to 10 years. So 7, 10, now it's up to 13 years. A ton of people refinanced during COVID. You know, I had friends and family who did that. And they're not about to sell their house because they put money into the house, and they, you know, they like their home office. They, you know, added special bells and whistles to make.
Got a good interest rate. Yeah.
Got a great interest rate. They're happy. But in divorce, divorcees realize that the trophy home that they kept is not what they really wanted. There are hidden costs of keeping the house after divorce. Things get more expensive. And then oftentimes people fall in love. They move closer to friends and family. They don't stay in the house. They take a new job. They move away, and they remember the job you did in helping them preserve their home ownership. And they call you because they need to sell. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to be 75 this week. You're just a kid compared to me. And 13 years home ownership duration at my age is a very long time. 3, not so much.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point. The other thing is maintaining the home, you know, once, because like, you know, most of us that are married, we kind of fall into roles of, you know, one of us snow blows, the other one takes out the trash, whatever it is. And then when all that responsibility falls on you, it does get overwhelming. You know, I mean, you know, I got divorced a long time ago now. It was 13, 14 years ago. So it's been a while. And, but I remember, like, you know, I moved out and into a home that I was renting, and just maintaining that rental home by myself was hard. And then watching my ex-wife trying to maintain our, you know, we had a very large, like you said, I forgot what you called it, but trying to maintain the big house with the swimming pool and the yard and all that stuff. You know, it's exactly what she said. It wasn't the home that she wanted to have after being there trying to keep it herself. You know, it's just too much work.
You need to focus on the right size residence. And this is where the mortgage lenders are so wonderful. So my recommendation for anyone listening to this is for you to reach out to your favorite mortgage lenders to start, and then contact the mortgage lenders who have been trying to work with you. But, you know, you want to, if you're already established with mortgage lenders, I want you to ask them one question. And that question is, what do you see going wrong in divorce real estate regarding mortgage? Have you ever asked your mortgage lender that? What do you see going wrong in divorce real estate regarding mortgage? And then sit back, because if they're experienced, they will give you a litany of some fascinating case studies, as we call them. They're going to tell you. And then your next question is, are you working currently with divorce lawyers? And many of them, unless they're an RCSD, they're probably going to say no, but I'm trying to. And
what is CSD?
Oh, yes. Our designation is RCSD, and it stands for Real Estate Collaboration Specialist Divorce. And you're a designee, not certified. Lawyers will question certifications, CPA, certified, you know, public accountant. CFP, those certifications to lawyers are legitimate certifications.
Okay.
Easy, quick, short certifications, they don't respect as much.
Okay.
So we want our lawyers to recognize our trained RCSDs as specialists. That way you're not crowding. If you call yourself an expert to a lawyer, get ready.
Oh, you know, it's funny you say that. I used to have real estate expert on my card, and I had been selling real estate for, you know, I've been 28 years this October in the business. And I was 16 years in, top producing agent, done thousands of transactions, and I had real estate expert, and my attorney lost his mind.
Yep.
He says, you can't be an expert. You're not an expert at everything.
No.
And it just went off. And he's still my attorney today. I don't agree with everything he says.
I know, but that you have to, if you want to work with divorce attorneys or any attorney, real estate attorneys, you have to understand that they are the biggest ego in the room. And why crowd them? Why make them worry that your expertise that you are saying that you have, and you do have it, but it crowds them, and they're concerned that you are such an expert that you'll cross over into the unauthorized practice of law. And we know that realtors real estate agents and mortgage lenders do not want to get involved in that. So that's
actually a really legitimately good point. And I think that's exactly what if you were to talk to my attorney, that's probably exactly what his concern would be.
Oh, yes.
And that's a legitimate concern. Yeah, I get that.
You can say you're a specialist, and people who are trained by us in the next breath get to say, and I was trained by Professor Kelly Murray with degrees from Stanford University and Harvard Law School, full stop. And the lawyer starts nodding their head, and then the lawyer will say, go on, what do you do?
Oh, great.
In other words, they're thinking, what did she teach you? And of course, we have a school for lawyers. So we're the only company, and we keep this pretty quiet. We like referrals. We love working with you, for example, bringing this to your agents who are growing their businesses. And you know what? I have some agents who have been in the business a long time, but they're burned out. They are so tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again that they're looking for a new niche. But what's so important is for you to get into this if you're a serious student and if you want to work this niche. And then lawyers will look at you less as a salesperson, because this is what they think of you. You're selling houses and helping people purchase, less of a vendor and more of a colleague. If you want a lawyer to introduce you to clients, and let me tell you lawyer math. Are you ready for this? You need to fasten your seatbelt.
All right, because I'm excited.
Lawyer math is my favorite. The average divorce attorney in a fairly large city. So let me give you Denver, Colorado. You're in Colorado, right?
Yeah, correct.
All right. So the average divorce lawyer in your area has 20 to 50 ongoing clients per month. 35 to 50% of them own real estate. Some own multiple properties. It's not just one house always. And if it's a higher asset divorce attorney, then it's going to slide over into the 75% owned property, right?
Right.
We have a mortgage lender 10 months after taking our training who did 70 transactions.
What?
In 10 months, working with 2 TWO divorce attorneys.
Wow.
You do not work with a lot of divorce attorneys. You establish a professional referral partnership, and the lawyer is giving you client after client after client. So he was averaging 5-6 transactions a month. So then I asked him, how many of your 70 transactions were refinance? And he said, oh, not many, maybe 20, maybe 20%. The rest were new loan origination. Hey, realtors, what does that say for you? New loan origination?
Yeah.
That means the marital home sold in the least amount of time for the most amount of money. And both spouses were able to purchase right-sized residences. So the mortgage lender had 2 transactions from the one divorce, who had 3.
Right. If they did it right, right?
If they did it right. Preserve. And what did we just do? We preserved homeownership eligibility. You get to be part of consumer protection. Wouldn't you rather have a client introduction than running around paying for leads and cold calling people at a horrible time in their life? And if someone called me getting a divorce, oh, hey, because here's what I hear. Great, you're getting a divorce. Let me sell your house.
Yeah.
When you call me and say, I see that you filed for divorce and that you're a homeowner, I just want to let you know, I'm so sorry. And I would love to be the realtor selling your house. I'm hearing, great, you're getting divorced. let me sell.
Yeah. So one of the things you touched on a minute ago is you talked about a niche. And, I am a firm believer of the riches are in the niches, and I think
Definitely.
that's one of the biggest mistakes real estate agents make is they try to be everything to everybody all the time. Oh, you got a luxury home? Oh yeah, I do luxury. Oh, you got a 1-bedroom condo, in the downtown. Oh yeah, I specialize in that. Oh, golf course. And they're all over the place. And their business is out of control. It fluctuates up and down. Their marketing's inconsistent. It drives me batty. It drives me completely batty. And my success in real estate always came from some type of niche, right? Like I like finance niches, being able to provide loan product or something that nobody else has or nobody else has thought of. Getting in with different kind of new construction where maybe I control the product or I can control the consumer direction to the product. So I love that stuff. So what I'm hearing is that you agree that specializing obviously with a background in marketing with your husband and your business with your husband, of course this, right?
Yes.
Now the question I have though is how does an individual decide on a divorce niche? Like I would assume you would say that they have to be compassionate at some level.
Your why. Good for you, Sean. Your why is essential because the lawyer's going to ask you why you're doing this. Yeah. They want to know. And the only way you land a lawyer is to have a conversation with the lawyer. Mm-hmm. So let me warn everybody of what not to do, because I'm probably going to get everybody all excited after they heard the 70 transactions with the mortgage lender.
Yeah, we're all signing up.
Well, I want you to get your mortgage lenders. All right. If you have a mortgage lender, you will have transactions. And mortgage lenders are key to this whole process. And how wonderful for you, because mortgage lenders, you need genders, different ages. Divorce has affected seniors. Senior divorces have doubled since 1990. Oh, so if you love the senior niche, then this would be perfect for you to expand into with your mortgage lender, because seniors like me, we have equity in our homes. We have multiple properties. Do you know that there's a divorce going on in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is not that large of a place, but it's so darling with, the UT and all of that. There's a divorce going on, and it was the financial professional who called me, working with the mortgage lender and the RCSD realtor, because we've trained in throughout Tennessee. And he's a CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So that tells you what that person does. He said, we have a divorce going on right now with 17 properties. They're student landlords. Yeah. They're getting a divorce and they are dividing up the properties, and she is buying a $2.5 million house. The mortgage lenders are essential in this. And if you want to do this, you have to have heart. You have to be happy for those clients who do refinance. But you also get to meet the outspouse, because here's what happens. It's organic. You are brought in by lawyer for Wendy Waselle. Wendy Waselle, this is a higher asset divorce. So I have a financial professional working with me, and my husband, he has his separate lawyer and his financial professional. And then we both are going to work with a mediator. Yeah. You get introduced from Wendy's lawyer to Dave's lawyer through discovery. You get introduced to the mediator through discovery. And those, when you do a great job, I had an RCSD realtor in Orange County, California, send me an email saying that she was working on 12 properties, one divorce, and every one of the legal professionals at a different time told her how thrilled they were working with her, how impressed they were with her organization skills. Because remember, you're not making this up. You're using a system that Professor Murray, my co-founder and genius, has created to streamline the divorce process for discovery regarding real property.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask you that question. Realistically, I'm assuming there's an agent or two that have gone out there, developed relationships with attorneys, and have been able to produce leads from that relationship or clients from that relationship. But how important is education in this process and frankly to the attorney?
Well, what we do is we position you again at the beginning of the divorce. Usually the realtors and even mortgage lenders are brought in at the end of the divorce. They're brought in later after mediation. They agree in mediation and don't even have all their information. But, again, emotion kicks in. So are you using your rational mind or your emotional mind? I want to keep the house, your heart, you love it.
Raise the kids here. We don't want the kids to move.
And the children don't want to move, but you don't want to suddenly regret your decision. And so we're consumer protection in that aspect. And I have a lot of realtors, especially, who will take my training because they say, I'm working with 2 divorce attorneys right now all the time, selling the house. But I want to do a better job. This has motivated me to learn more so that I can serve my clients even better, because they see the mistakes that have been made. They're cleaning up. Do you want to clean up house 7? Or do you want to avoid any cleanup whatsoever and have, you involved with 2 lawyers, 2 financial professionals, and 2 clients? And some of my RCSDs report back that 25% of their business is referring clients to others, because plenty of people are going to move to a different state.
Yeah.
If Dave and I were to get divorced, he'd be in Florida on the water.
He's gone.
He's gone.
You keep talking about this. It sounds like there's a plan here. I'm just telling you.
I just use his name because it's 75. If I use a fictitious name, it'll start out with Carolyn and end up with Sam. So
well, I'm just saying, if Dave's listening, he's packing his bags right now. He's a little
so
nervous.
Funny. No, I'm really lucky. He laughs about it. He thinks it's really, he goes, I've been getting divorced for 14 years because Winnie uses my name all the time.
So it keeps the relationship interesting, right? You're like, you better buy me dinner. You better buy me. So here's the kind of a thought that I had is, we've all, or most of us that have been in the business for any period of time, have worked with a client going through divorce, right? And it's challenging. It's like highly emotional. I think you're right. Like a lot of times we're brought in early because they want a CMA and they want to know what the value of the home is. But they're early in the divorce process too, where they're still talking to the attorneys and negotiating their attorneys. And then we end up doing a lot of work, and it either doesn't produce the result that we want, or like I shared earlier, you don't get the client, or it's a very stressful transaction because one seller feels like they hired you and the other one feels like they settled on you. Right. So what I'm hearing is going through the attorney first to the mortgage lender, to the introduction, they're kind of selling you long before you ever walk into the room. So by the time you're there, you're kind of on the 80-yard line. Like
you are.
You just got to run the ball.
You put it together. That is the key. That is the point of difference that truly makes a difference. The realtor does none of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You are brought in when the listing, the horizon market, when the listing is the only option. The house spouse cannot refinance the marital home. The out spouse can, but doesn't want it.
Right.
There are only 2 ways to get people's names off of mortgages. You refinance or you what?
Sell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the mortgage lender is the one who's doing all the hard work. And they're happy to do that because it's their funnel. Working with I was teasing, going back to the lender in Denver, just loved him. I was teasing him because I said, what, just in 10 months, only 70? Why don't you get another lawyer and you'll make it 100? And he goes, no, Wendy, I don't want another lawyer. Yeah. I'm a branch manager. I'm going to get 10 of my loan officers under me in my office to take this training, and they'll bring, 3 of their favorite realtors in. We've got, in Denver, we probably have 50 realtors trained in this, and they're all working with their divorce lawyers. You only need, we say, start with 1. Oh, and may I share something about lawyers that I would love the real estate industry to emulate? All right. Lawyers, I have 3 levels of referrals. Are you ready for this? You land with us 1 lawyer, and you know who's going to introduce you to the lawyer?
The lender.
Lender and the real estate attorney.
Oh.
Lenders work with real estate attorneys, title companies. Now, as a general realtor, you have nothing special to offer a real estate attorney to take you above all other realtors, right, to a divorce attorney. In fact, I just had a charming realtor up in, I think it was Highland Park, Illinois, call me. And he was going to spend $10,000 on books that said how to sell your house when you're getting divorced. And he said, he's a smart man, because he said, and Wendy, I was going to, I thought I'm going to get my real estate attorney to pass them out to all the divorce attorneys at the Bar Association. He had made that leap, which is true. And I started laughing because I said, just like I told you, the lawyers don't like the word expert. Right. I started laughing and I thought, honey, they are never. Yeah. Your real estate lawyer is not going to take you and your book with your name on it that you didn't even write and pass it out to all the divorce lawyers and then have every other agent that person works with mad at him. Yeah. So I started giggling and he goes, you know the answer. I said, yes. When you asked the lawyer, what did he say? And he said, heck no, not about to do that for you. This is the reason why. When you present a service that actually benefits the real estate attorney, real estate attorneys can't wait to introduce it to the divorce attorney because it helps the divorce attorney streamline the divorce attorney's process. That's a unique value proposition. They will separate you from everybody else because your point of difference is divorce. Yeah. Now, when you land your first lawyer and the client, you ask for one client and one client only to test Professor Murray's system. See, this isn't your system. This is Professor Murray. So lawyer to lawyer, who do lawyers trust? Other lawyers, especially smart ones from Harvard Law School, quite frankly, is the most prestigious law school in the world, not just our country, the world. So anybody from Harvard, a divorce lawyer is going to take seriously. You land that lawyer. That lawyer is going to give you another client and another client. And then here's what the lawyer does. Lawyer number one introduces you to lawyer number two, who's even more successful than lawyer number one. They introduce you up, not down. They don't see themselves as direct competitors because the lawyer's ego, and this is from Professor Murray, she's delightful, and she understands lawyers because she has the ego too. She said, we lawyers have strong egos. We think we're the best. So when we introduce you to another lawyer, we're showing social proof. We're sharing our resource. We're proud of that. We don't worry about competition. And then the best, so that's the second referral, right? So you have lawyer number one with clients. Lawyer number one gives you lawyer number two with clients. Okay. And then the third, it's like three subparts. The third referrals are my favorite. They have nothing to do with divorce and everything to do with the lawyer's friends and family. So I have an RCSD in California who took the training in December. And I always warn everybody, if you take the training right before a major holiday, most law offices are closed to enjoy the holiday. Right. But you can still take the training and introduce your services and the lawyer will see it. Well, this worked so well. The lawyer was so impressed with her divorce services that he said, now, we're literally closing down until New Year's. And then first quarter is the busiest season for divorce lawyers. So right now, do they need your help? Right. But anyway, the lawyer said, but my cousin is moving over the holiday from Baltimore to, San Diego. He has a $2 million budget. Can you help him? She got a $2 million. That's awesome. That's awesome. Before she even worked. So she jumped from, client to relative. Yeah. Oh, they're fantastic.
I have an unrelated question, but it was something that you brought up that kind of got the little monkey mind chattering for me, the little doubt and fear, which is you were talking about the lawyers in Denver and that there's, these agents in Denver already doing this. And then my monkey mind started saying it's already full. But then I started thinking about the real estate industry and that like literally in our industry, every 5 years, like we just came from the award ceremony and some of the people that are on the leaderboard weren't even in the business 5 years ago. And I assume there's a lot. I mean, Denver has a lot of attorneys. Like we're one of the highest per capita attorney markets because we have a lot of law schools here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I assume there's also an influx of newer attorneys that are going to specialize in divorce, that if you're a younger agent or a newer agent, would be a perfect opportunity to build for their future career and your future career. Right?
Yes, and there are far more people referring divorcing clients than just divorce attorneys.
Mm. Mm.
What about the sphere of concern?
What?
The sphere of concern. I made
I'm
it
gonna write
up.
that down.
I made it up. Definitely give me attribution, please. So here, sphere of influence. You know how you get to a divorcing client? Your hairdresser, your barber. There are 3 markets in divorce. Once again, everybody is focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I just want to take the real estate industry and shake you up and say, please, you are missing out on so much. When I first told my hairdresser, who is not a divorce attorney, that I was getting into, out of staging, because, she loved my staging stories. Obviously, I never gave names or addresses, but, one of her favorites was the 6 snakes living in a doctor's attic and the screaming that came from my partner who was running out of the attic. And I had to go in, but that's all right, because I'm a former kindergarten teacher, and you can teach 25 5-year-olds, you can put up with 6 snakes.
Yeah,
but
kids
anyway,
and snakes. I'll take the snakes. For sure.
But I loved my kindergartners, but they are like popcorn. But anyway, so what was I saying?
We were talking about different people. Your
different people.
Yes,
sphere of concern is the sphere of influence on steroids. And here's what I mean by that. Everybody that you know will eventually know of someone going through divorce. And when they know what you do, how you help, when you help, and why it's so important, they will automatically become the sphere of concern because they care about the spouse that they know. And let's face it, you take sides. If I were getting divorced, my sister would take my side. And so she would be concerned about me. And if she knew that you, Sean, were an RCSD and a little bit about what you did and how you could help me, because I want to keep the house, she would introduce you to me. It happens all the time. So when you're talking to your hairdresser or your dental hygienist, my dental hygienist has given people all kinds of information, and you grind your teeth when you get divorced. The pharmacist finds out about divorce because people need sleeping aids. They need, the antidepressants, whatever. It's amazing. Your sphere of influence becomes the divorce sphere of concern, and your vendors. First time I needed a classroom to teach our first class, I contacted the HVAC company here because they had a big training room, and the Realtor Association wanted to charge $250 a day. Well, who do I pass that on to? I'm thinking, I want to keep my tuition down, not up. I think real estate agents get nickeled and dimed to death.
Yes, we feel that way too.
we're horrified. Again, we're outsiders to the industry, and we're looking at that and thinking, I don't want to charge that. I don't think it's necessary. I'd rather give more value. So getting back to the sphere of concern, these people are related to divorce professionals themselves. My next door neighbor is a trust and estates attorney. Do you think that my trust and estates attorney neighbor knows divorce attorneys? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about the mental health professionals? What about divorce care? What about the divorce coaches?
Therapists and counselors, and
you have no idea. The life coaches are always helping a lot of the senior moms who are stay-at-home moms whose husbands are leaving them, or maybe they're leaving their husband, doesn't matter. But 2/3 of divorces are being filed by women against men. And since I've never been divorced myself, neither has Professor Murray, we are just trying to help everyone preserve homeownership eligibility. And if they have children in the house who are unemancipated, I mean, it affects adult children too, but children who grow up in a home that a parent can own have better learning outcomes. That's proven. And so we want to preserve homeownership eligibility for every divorcing spouse, especially those who are parents.
Wow, Wendy, this was amazing. And I am so excited that you shared all your wisdom and with us today. So if somebody wants to learn more, and again, this isn't a sales pitch, here on the close, we're just bringing you value that we heard about Wendy, and Becky said, hey, this is somebody you've got to interview. And so this isn't a sales pitch, but one of the things that I heard really clearly is if you're interested in serving people that are in this situation, you got to get educated on it. Don't wing it. Don't wing it. So, pick a great service provider that's going to teach you and educate you. And Wendy just happens to have one. So how does somebody get in touch with you, Wendy?
They can go to our website, divorcethishouse.com, divorcethishouse.com, and just scroll through it. And if you want to speak to me, I have a Calendly. Look for the orange box, schedule a call with Wendy Waselle. And I have told as many people not to take my training as I have recommended that they consider it. You're a reflection on me. I am very proud of what I do. I can do a lot of different things. This is something I've chosen. My niece and I have created something that will live long after I'm gone. And if you have heart and you want to help people and you're a serious student and you would love to have ongoing referrals, because what this can do is fortify your business with predictable, positive, and profitable referrals. But definitely, I want you to talk to your mortgage lender. Every mortgage lender can get this training and create the listings for you. So you don't even need my training if you put your mortgage lenders into the training. But here's what's going to happen. When the mortgage lender tells you how awesome this is, then the mortgage lender will probably recommend that you try it too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're building a team, right? You're building a team. Otherwise, you send your mortgage lender and you don't have the education or knowledge. The mortgage lender could easily find somebody else who's willing to take that extra step of getting the knowledge. And Wendy, this was so amazing, and we appreciate you so much here at the Close Weekly, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. And Divorce This House feels the same way about the close. Bye-bye, Sean.
Bye-bye. See you guys.